Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Jennifer Bevins. I'm a landscape designer here in Vero Beach, Florida, and I thought I would do a quick video on how to trim cordyline. I get this question all the time, and these plants do such a fantastic job in just kind of whatever garden setting that you apply them in, as long as you're able to keep them from getting too leggy or too woody. And I see this commonly with clients. They'll have a beautiful plant and the bottom footage is just solid wood, and then you've got just this beautiful color at the top. Now, if that's your goal, that's fine, and that in some of my areas, that is my goal. But in this particular instance, we've gotten some that are just too tall, too woody, so I thought I'd share this with you. So this here is old growth. Obviously, this guy has gotten too tall for this environment. He's gonna start to lean. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut him here and probably make 3 cuttings out of this particular plant. So I'm going to, usually when I kind of judge out the cuttings, I'm going to take out some of these bottom leaves, but I do it for about 2 fist heights. So I'm going to go down about 2. So I'm going to cut here for the first one. And then I'm going to take off these leaves. I know this seems so vicious, but it's not. What we want to make sure is when you're replanting this plant that you're not leaving too many leaves on, because it can really dehydrate the plant, and you want it to promote some pretty quick growth. So we're just going to top that there. And then you can just take your cutters and just kind of scuff it up a little bit, and that kind of really helps promote those roots to really start growing. And in a moment, we're going to stick this right in the ground, and it's going to propagate and become a whole new plant. You gotta love plants that pay rent. So I'm going to stick this down here, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this secondary, because what'll happen if I leave this plant here, you're going to start getting the stems right around this cutting. So again, we're going to be in a plant that's going to be here, and I only like to do this about once a year. So we're going to get a second cutting about right here, which is going to be ideal. So once this starts to grow, you're going to see a split of a new head here and one off this edge. And if you zoom in here, Bryce, you'll be able to see this was an old cutting and how this is starting to come in. And it only takes about, maybe 90 days or so for you to get a whole new head. So that'll really start to thicken up that little gap that we're kind of causing here. This yellowing, we just had a terrible freeze, so I almost hate to show you guys these. I know you saw this in a previous video, and they're just absolutely usually gorgeous with color, but they're really, they took a hard hit. Last month we had Hurricane Nicole. This month we had a freeze. So yeah, so they're not quite loving their home right now. So we're going to take this and we're going to plant it in a bare spot that I have in the front. So just follow me, or maybe I'll follow you. So this is the clustering that's been recently cut, and I've used the cuttings in other places. And I just want to kind of thicken that up. If you can look from the bottom here, you can see where a previous cut is already starting to kind of grow. And this is what I meant about not being able to see too much of the trunk line. As soon as you cut in these areas, then you're going to get all that lower growth. So one plant becomes thick and thick and thick and lush, and then you've got just this awesome clustering of this kind of color. So what I want to do is I kind of continue this, and so I'm going to add this guy over here to the left. And what I find the easiest thing to do is use something kind of long and pointy. You can use rebar, you can use kind of whatever you have. Just want to make sure that you clean it and sanitize it before you stick it in the ground, because this plant's pretty vulnerable until it takes hold. So I'm just going to clear out a little area, give it some room, and then we are going to just stick this guy in the ground here. So you want to make sure that you get it good and deep enough so that way if you have a long stem like we do here, it's going to be really supported. Kind of maneuver it around a little bit so you've got some room to add in some good soil. And then go ahead and just put them right into the ground. Add whatever your favorite mix is. It does a really good job of just kind of keeping that area a little moist and wet for a new planting. And then you just take this guy and cover him right up. Now you can take more of these leaves off. This area gets nice and irrigated, so I'm not too worried about it drying out. But if you're in a spot where it's not going to get a whole lot of water, then you want to take most of those leaves off so it's not really supporting that. And in some cases, this center could die out and it could produce two side pups. And that's okay because it's still kind of still in line with the same type of look that we're going for. So I'm also going to show you a cutting that I put in water. And these do a great job of being just a nice decoration inside the home. But you can kind of see we already have established roots. He's been in this container all through Christmas and has lived beautifully. And I had a couple more that I've already put into the ground. So you can go ahead and put this in a pot, plant it, or you can put it right into the ground at this point. So we're going to go ahead and put it in the ground. In the same kind of fashion as the other one. Now, because of the sensitive roots, I want to make sure to use a good deal more of a quality soil. So I'm going to dig this one out a little bit more. The good thing about it, it's much shorter, so it won't take as much to prop it in there. Now, I love these plants. I use them often. You've probably seen them all through my backyard. At the end of the video, I'll make sure to list some of my favorites, things that just do so well in our Zone 10A here, Vero Beach, and pretty much all along the Space and Treasure Coast and now into South Florida. So these particular plants will handle the sun. I mean, we're in morning sun here, solid morning sun. Floricas, antilus, ties, red sisters, those are pretty much morning sun plants, morning sun cordylines. Some of the plants that I have in the back are more shade tolerant, the sherberts, the harlequins, and again, I'll show you some pictures of those, but they're just a nice overall tough plant to work with. I think it's definitely a must for any tropical garden. Now after this, I'm going to water this whole area in so that way it releases any air bubbles that might be in there. But these guys will just take hold in no time, and now I've got a whole new group of plants just from the yearly cuttings. So you gotta love that they offer new plants every year. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions or anything that I didn't mention, please stick them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer them. So thanks for visiting, and I'll see you guys in the next video.